unboxing and review of the Lekato WMT-248 Metrotuner. And it's described on Amazon as being a metronome, tuner, tone generator, 3-in-1 functional digital metronome, mini, portable, USB rechargeable, multifunction for musicians, guitar, piano, trumpet, pipes and all instruments. Well, you can see what they're doing there. They're getting all the keywords so it can be found. Anyhow, this is where I bought it from, and this is the box it came in, and it's the usual Amazon packaging, which is quite simple to get into but seems to hold things intact. I've never had anything broken. So let's open the box. Well, everything's intact and the inside box seems all intact, but there's one thing that's a little strange, and that is that it's branded as Cherub. Yeah, I clearly bought the Lekato one. It's the same number and the same description, so it's clearly the same item. So obviously you can buy this item either in the Cherub name or Lekato. Either way, they're the same thing. Okie dokie, let's take a look inside this box and see what's in there. The box is quite strong and functional and fairly attractive, so you could give it as a gift without feeling ashamed of what you'd bought for someone. But it's not an overkill, and it's not one of these ones that'll single-handedly destroy the environment. And inside the box we have just the instructions and the device so far, but I've got a suspicion there's something underneath there, so let's have a look. And underneath the device is a box containing what looks like a USB lead. I'll just take that out and have a look at it, though I am intrigued as to why it would need a USB lead. But first I'll take the film off the screen, and then you get a better idea of what the device looks like. And there it is. Now let's unpack that box and then we'll have everything unpacked and we can have a better look at it. And as I suspected, it's a USB lead. And before we go any further then, I'll have a look in the instructions to see what that's all about. And it is just as well I checked in the instructions, because there's a warning there that before you use the device you should charge it up fully. So that's what I'll do. And it says to plug it into a computer, but I'm not going to do this as I don't know the device yet. I'm going to plug it into a mobile phone charger, which is obviously a USB one. And USB devices are all the same 5V standard, so it should charge it nicely. As you can see here, it seems to be charged about 3/4 of the way already, which means hopefully it'll only take a few minutes to charge up the rest of the way. And I do like that. Nothing more annoying than not knowing how charged things are. The lights I use to do these videos, I've just got a red light and a green light on the charger, and it's really annoying because you don't know when you're going to have your battery ready to be able to film. And the batteries for the lights take hours to charge. Right, let's take a good look around it. And on the back there's a flip out metal stand, which I'll assume is going to be pretty handy later. On the front there's your display and a power button. On the top there's a volume control, which is your analog style rather than the 2 buttons they get on the digital style. On the left hand side is the USB connector, a mode button, an item button and a beat button. And I don't know what those are yet, we'll find out in a minute. And on the right hand side as you look at it, we have a headphone socket, an input socket, an up and down control and a pre-B button. Again, I won't know what this is until I've looked at the instructions. Well, there's no disputing you get a lot more on there than you do on your average tuner or metronome. We just need to find out what they do now. Okay, let's turn it on and then we can go through some of the features. Well, that screen's quite clear, but it's not showing up well on the camera because of the lights that are shining on it. So I'll just lower down the studio lighting so we can see it more clearly. There you go, that's better. But I'll bring it in closer so you can get a better look at it as I do the tests. By doing a short push on the power, I should get the metronome going. I'm not a great fan of the woman's voice, but hopefully I can get rid of that. Now, if I want to stop the metronome, I just short press of the power again. Right, if I want to speed up the metronome, I just press the upward arrow, and if I want to slow down the metronome, I press the downward arrow. So that's very intuitive and obvious. If I press the item key, it changes the rhythm, and there's 10 of those to choose from. And I can see some of these being real handy, especially practicing things with more complex rhythms, like for example Latino music. If you press and hold the item key, the voice then says the half beat as well as the beat. However, if you press it and hold it again, you can get rid of it. I think I'll leave it like this. If you press the beat button, it changes the time signature, and it's got a choice of 7 different time signatures, which isn't extensive, but it's enough for most people. The pre-beat is a pre-count before the rhythm starts, and the number is how many beats it gives you before the main beat starts. I don't know if I'd find a use for that, but I'm sure people will. Obviously, to hear the pre-beat, you have to stop the metronome and then restart it, because it's a pre-beat before the actual metronome beat gets going. A nice little touch on the metronome here is the names of the classical terms for speed. And this is really useful if you're trying to learn them, because you can actually set the speed using the up and down arrow, and this would really help you remember what speeds refer to what names. A bizarre little note here: if you use the voice, cats are strangely attracted to it. Whenever I turned the voice on, I had to stop filming because my cat would instantly want to know what was going on. If you press the mode switch, it goes into tuner mode. And if you press the mode switch again, it goes back into metronome mode. If you press the item key when it's in tuner mode, it goes from chromatic to guitar to bass to violin to ukulele mode, so you can select the appropriate setting for the instrument you're using. When in tuner mode, pressing the up and down buttons affects the A4 values. The standard A4 value is 440. And when in guitar or bass mode, pressing the beat button flattens the tuner, so you can use alternative tuning. When in tuner mode, if you hit the power switch for a brief second, it goes over into tone mode, and then it gives you a tone that you can tune from. And by using the up and down arrows, you can alter what tone that is. I use a tone generator for all sorts of things. It's a very crude way of testing resonance and also checking the patterns on microphones. Having so many settings and options, I'm happy to say that when you turn the Metrotuner off and then turn it on again, it keeps all the settings that you've had it on. And therefore, if you just want to use it as a tuner or a metronome, you don't have to keep going through the modes to find out where you were last. And unlike most mobile devices, there's virtually no boot time. I'll test the tuner function now using an acoustic guitar, and to be sure it's being accurate, I'll be comparing the results with a rack tuner at the bottom of the screen. In fairness to my rack-mounted tuner, it's a few years old now, but this little Lekato tuner is faster to respond to the lower strings This microphone is more sensitive, and it seems just as accurate as the rack-mounted one. And that's quite remarkable really, because the rack-mounted tuner cost me a couple of £100 when I bought it. I've got 4 or 5 tuners here, and this one stands head and shoulders above those. It's a very good tuner. Whilst I've got this tuner on, let's try the tone generator and see if the tones are in tune. And everything is bang on in tune. Where you see slight discrepancies, that's because I'm moving it back and forward slightly and you get a slight Doppler effect which distorts the reading. But I think I can safely say I would use the tone generator to tune things to, because it's very accurate. Finally, I'll just check the headphone socket and see what sort of quality it produces. I guess I expected this really, but the quality produced by the headphones is far better than that produced by the little speaker. Not that it really matters on a metronome. However, beware, because it really pushes out some volume through the headphones, so lower it right down before you put it on your head and then higher it slowly, because it could damage your hearing. To summarise then, the Lekato WMT-248 Metrotuner is a really good device. The tuner is excellent and it's very flexible. Also, the metronome is excellent and very flexible. The tone they've chosen and the volume it produces will cut through most loud instruments, so you'll be able to practice with it. The plastic it's made of seems fairly robust and hard wearing. The only minuses I can think of is the choice of input socket, but you might disagree with this. They've chosen a mini jack for an input, whereas as an electric guitarist I use a large jack all the time and I don't have any mini jacks lying around. So if you wanted to plug an instrument into it, maybe the best choice would have been a large jack and not a mini jack. Another thing that's not really a minus, but I thought I should mention it, is the viewing angle of the screen. It's actually far brighter and clearer if you're looking up at it from below. So if you were sitting in a chair practicing an instrument, you'd be better using it lying flat on the floor, so you're looking up at the screen. If you look down at the screen, everything disappears. So if you use the stand and put it on the floor, you won't be able to see the screen. And really, they're the only negatives I could think of. It's a really good device and I would recommend it. If you don't already practice with a metronome, I really recommend you start doing so, because it really makes a difference to the way you play. And when you get used to playing without a metronome, you fall into your own timing, which is inevitably wrong. Obviously, by practicing with a metronome, your timings become far better and more accurate. Then when you get the opportunity to play with someone else or in a band, you'll find it a lot easier. And there's lots of free ones available for download onto your devices, whether it's a computer or a mobile device. I really hope this video has been helpful to you, and if you've enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. I'm hoping to upload a new course soon that will continue over a few weeks, so keep your eyes open for that. And thank you for watching.